It's now time for the Mike Wagner Show, powered by Sonic Web Studios. Visit online at sonicwebstudios.com for all your needs. The Mike Wagner Show can be heard on Spreaker, Spotify, iHeartRadio, YouTube, iTunes, Anchor FM, Radio Public, and the MikeWagnerShow.com. Mike brings you great guests and interesting people from all across the globe. So sit back, relax, and enjoy another great episode of the Mike Wagner Show.
Hey everybody, it's Mike from the Mike Wagner Show, powered by Sonic Web Studios. Visit online at sonicwebstudios.com for all your needs. Looking for a professional website without breaking your budget? Sonic Web Studios is the answer. Sonic Web Studios offers fast, affordable custom web designs at below the competition way. Call today at 1-800-303-3960. That's 1-800-303-3960. Or email to support@sonicwebstudios.com. Mention the Mike Wagner Show, get 10% off your first order. Sonic Web Studios, take your image to the next level. Also, the Mike Wagner Show can be heard on the MikeWagnerShow.com. You can check our Facebook page at Facebook.com/The Mike Wagner Show. You can download and listen on Facebook, SoundCloud, Spreaker, Spotify, and iHeartRadio. Also on Anchor FM, Radio Public, iTunes, Google Play, Apple, and more. Take the Mike Wagner Show with you on any mobile device. Subscribe to the Mike Wagner Show on the YouTube channel. Also follow the Mike Wagner Show on Instagram and Twitter today. We're here with a wonderful gentleman from the Georgia area. He's got his own company. He does voiceovers, and he's got his own radio station. We'll talk about that. He's also been on quite a few networks. He's done local and various commercials nationally and also local as well, too. And he's got an audio book that he had put out. He's working on right now, and was also went over the pond to a very special place he'll be glad to talk about. And he's got a promotion, and it's a movie that's going to be coming out, and he'll be talking about that live, ladies and gentlemen, from his wonderful studio, surrounded by all kinds of goodies. And here he is, the one and only in the studio, Tim Miller. Tim, good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Thanks for joining us today.
Hey, thank you, Mike, for having me, man. What a privilege and an honor to be on the Mike Wagner Show. What a privilege and an honor, both.
It's a privilege to be working with a legend like you as well, too. So, and of course, you got your own company, Tim Miller Voiceovers, and you're currently also working on a movie called Kind Katie, which I'll talk about that story of the late Katie Beth Carter, and also you've been over the pond. We'll talk about that. You've also been on a couple of radio stations. You've got one yourself, and just all kinds of work you did, audiobooks and everything else, just countless. Very busy guy. And before we get to all that, tell us how I got started.
Thanks. Back in 2014, and about August of 2014, I decided after a couple things that happened in my life to go ahead and pursue not radio, but really to get into the voiceover industry. And so I learned on my own from YouTube, from others. And so I decided that this is certainly what I want to get back into. I was a radio DJ probably about 30 years prior. And so I did that on the weekends, and I ran a mom and pop radio station and television station. So the TV station was at night, the radio station was in the morning. So I had a lot of fun doing that on WMOC AM in Chattanooga, Tennessee. So that was a lot of fun. I cut my teeth, and then I got into the cable industry for a large cable company. And I don't want to give advertising for them, but I worked for them for 28 and a half years. But probably about in my 24th year or so, I got into the voiceovers. And you know, when you get into that, Mike, you're stumbling, you're tripping, you're falling, and then you learn lessons. And I guess one of the biggest lessons I've learned is who to give my money to, for pay to play and all that. Yeah, you probably have been there, Mike, and you probably know. So
I've been there myself, too. Pay to play and get on freelance sites and whatever else. So it's like you really got to watch who you're sending your money to. You may make a good work, you may not. So I've been it myself, too, and dabble from time to time. But right now, this is my baby right here, too. And talking to a legend like you, getting some really good tips and advice. And what was it one moment that precisely got you into radio from the beginning?
What got me into radio from the beginning is reaching a mass number of people, and just in sharing. I think we all have God-given talents, Mike, and obviously yours is doing exactly what God has you doing right now. And I felt like I'm not into sports. I mean, I don't even know how many innings is in a football game.
Innings in a football game, I have to say, I don't know how many innings are in a hockey game, to be honest with you.
I'm really bad in sports. And lately, my daughter for the last year has been a cheerleader for the basketball team at school and all that. So I'm learning some things. And I was so poor at sports. And you say, how poor were you?
How poor were you?
Man, I was probably 11 or 12 years old. I played 2 seasons of church basketball, and at the last game, I made my first basket, and it was from the side court, and the buzzer was going off, and it was an exciting moment for me because I didn't make any baskets in 2 years, and I was a forward, as they call it. I made the basket, and it went over the loud thing, and it said number 52. That basket did not count. So I was a kid that was dragging like the baseball bat. You've seen that, and real sad. But sports is not my thing, man. But I do feel like God has given us, you and I, an ability to use our voice. So that's what got me interested in radio. But then later on with audiobooks and with doing the radio station, it's been fulfilling. Has it made a whole lot of money? No, it hasn't made a lot of money, but it's it's okay. But it's not maybe after this broadcast, it will bring in some money, right?
Mm-hmm. And of course, it depends as well, too. And you may want to give your PayPal address, too, and send it to me. No, I'm kidding.
Yeah, that's true. I didn't say cartoonistexchange@yahoo.com. I know I didn't say that. Anyway, you're probably put that on the record. But also, I've done cartooning as well. I've not nationally, but I've done regional cartoons, and so that got me into the public schools, and I read for the kids. I did chalk talks, and I do a lot of public speaking, and so that got me to where I'm not nervous talking in front of people. I consult for an electronics company now, so I'll speak to 10 guys to 200 guys, and so I love to be behind the mic and all that. But it's only by God's power that I do that. It's nothing on my own.
Mm-hmm. And that's amazing as well, too. You even got your own radio station, which is called listentomyshow.com. Tell us all about that.
Yeah, and they recently changed my address to swr.radiostream123.com. And that's pretty laborsome, but it's swr.radiostream123.com. And my radio station comprises of the old shows like Dean Martin and Ozzie and Harriet and the Lucille show, Lucille Ball, when she first called My Favorite Husband, and oh my goodness, just Dragnet, and
wow,
and also, of course, I have town hall news at the top of the hour. Most hours at nighttime, I scale it back to music. So I play a lot of the big band. I play Doris Day, Dinah Shore, Dean Martin, of course, and Como, and all that good music from the past. And I don't think there's really another, not in this area, not another radio station like this that has that content, and Henry Aldridge and just all those good old shows. And you know what? I think we need to get the young people sometimes, and I don't know if it'll ever happen, but they need to get back to where they're using their mind instead of having everything done for them, Mike. And
right.
with radio, as a kid, I even loved radio better than I did television. And I worked in the TV industry, in the cable. I was a corporate trainer for a large company, but my passion is radio, and it always has been and always will be, because you can use your mind, man. You can paint pictures. You can go further in your thinking, and it's a lot better than television, because television does it for you, right?
Mm-hmm. I do agree with that as well, too. And, going back to my days, listening to Who Knows a Shadow, The Lone Ranger, and CBS Radio Mystery Theater. And I listened to it as a kid during the summertime. I would stay up and just sneak a little radio right beside my bed. My parents tell me, you got to go to bed. And then I just turn on, CBS and listen to CBS Radio Mystery Theater. And there was a guy named Carl Amari who did old time radio classics, and he's a nationwide phenom now. And he started it, and I ran the program for him back some 30 years ago. So there's a connection.
Oh, man. That's tremendous. Yeah, and it frees your mind, and it makes you And also, if you're an insomniac, sometimes a radio will put you to sleep, and that's a good thing because that's what I do at night. I have the good music and very little commercial interruption. I'll play the entire album, and then I'll have the station ID. Now, I may change that in the future, but at nighttime, I feel people, they don't want to hear a voice to wake them up. They want to hear good music, and so it really does help. You were mentioning about some radio programs. I do the Twilight Zone and 0 Hour as well. Now these radio programs now are I'm trying to think of the word, but anyway, they're open. I can use these without paying a royalty, so they are royalty free. And the time is up on that, so you're allowed to use that. So I have a local radio station that reaches around our area, and I'm getting ready to expand to go even farther. And if you want to know more about it, you can email me, of course, at timmillervoiceovers@outlook.com, and then my website is tmvo.studio, so you can learn more about me on that.
That'd be fantastic. We're looking forward to that as well, too. We'll talk about a couple of other projects. Listen to the Mike Wagner Show at the MikeWagnerShow.com, powered by Sonic Web Studios. Visit online at SonicWebStudios.com for all your needs. Looking for a professional website without breaking your budget? Sonic Web Studios is the answer. Sonic Web Studios offers fast, affordable custom web designs at below the competition rate. Call today at 1-800-303-3960. That's 1-800-303-3960. Or email to support@SonicWebStudios.com. Mention the Mike Wagner Show. Get 10% off your first order. Sonic Web Studios. Take your image to the next level. Also, the Mike Wagner Show can be heard on the MikeWagnerShow.com. You can check our Facebook page at Facebook.com/The Mike Wagner Show. You can download and listen on Facebook, SoundCloud, Spreaker, Spotify, and iHeartRadio. Also on Anchor FM, Radio Public, iTunes, Google Play, Deezer, Stitcher, and more. Take the Mike Wagner Show with you on any mobile device. Subscribe to the Mike Wagner Show on the YouTube channel. Also follow the Mike Wagner Show on Instagram and Twitter today. We're here with Tim Miller, the owner of Tim Miller voiceovers.com, and we also talk about the history of radio and what's it like to be in radio, and he also gave us some experience and just the industry overall. And you also got you're working on a promotional website for a movie which is called Kind Katie, which is really dear to your heart, and tell us all about that.
Yeah, thanks. So it's a movie in development, and it is called Kind Katie. And what the whole premise of the movie is about is Katie Beth Carter. Katie Beth Carter was a student in Florida, and she really wanted to be a what they call a ballerina type of cheerleader type young lady. And she, I don't want to tell you everything about it, but I will tell you that her dream was that, and she went to Nicaragua, and then when the tryouts were happening, then she missed it because she felt led and called to go to Nicaragua to minister to the people. She's a young 18-year-old girl, but she made a commitment, and from what I understand, she didn't know, or she did know, that the tryouts were at a certain time. But she said, you know what? I've already committed. I'm going to go to Nicaragua and do that. But the good thing is, Mike, when she was coming back from Nicaragua, when she landed, she learned that the tryouts they extended it. So she was able to do that. And she actually became what she wanted to do, to be the ballerina type of, I'm probably getting it wrong, but a cheerleader for, I think, Jackson, University. But anyway, she actually fulfilled that dream. Now, from all accounts that I understand, she was coming back from that college, and then an 18-wheeler took her life. Oh, and so I know, but she fulfilled what God wanted her to do in Nicaragua, and she realized her dream, and she actually was on the field there, and she actually performed. But here's the thing, that a fella by the name of John Graham wrote a book about this, and the film is in development, and they're looking for, of course, investors. And this is one of those films that you can invest in and you actually can realize money back. So it's one of those title type of arrangements. But I think the website, and I'll look it up here, but I think it's kindkatie.com. But what I did so far for the movie is I did a promo for the movie, and that brought in some investors, and I donated too. But everything that you invest in this company that you'll get back, and you'll get residuals from that. So it's and you think, well, you know what? I'm not in it for that. I just want to give. Well, if you just want to give. However, but you can. It is an investment opportunity, and a good one at that, because a faith-based movie nowadays, from what I understand, though, that's the movies that are really hot right now. So Katie Beth Carter, if you look up, just Google that. And one thing I wanted to say is that in Nicaragua right now, there's a Katie Beth Memorial High School, and that high school, of course, dedicated in her name. And it was built, of course, they excavated everything, but it was built on a dump, and they got funding for that project really cheap. So they have a structure, big, beautiful building there now, and beautiful for them and all. But our youth pastor that was at our church is now, I guess, the principal of that high school. So he got called over there, and so he is doing some great work over there in Nicaragua. But Katie Beth Memorial High School in Nicaragua, look it up. They are doing some really good work. And even if the movie doesn't come into fruition, I'm telling you, the ministry is there and everything's working. If that movie happens, then the residuals from that movie, I'm sure, and I know they will, go to Katie Beth Memorial High School here in Nicaragua. So it's I'm not that big of a player in it. I'm doing my part. I might have a part in the movie. I don't know. But if I do, I do. But if I don't, I told the people that I did it for is that I feel like that God's used me right to this point, and that's good. That's a good thing. So, we're asking for big things. It's not about me. It's about, the Katie Beth Memorial School.
And once again, how can people donate?
They should be able to go to kindkatie.com, and everything should be still in place, and I'm sure they will accept your money. And it is not like, oh my goodness, this is a scam. No, this is a real deal. And they really, really, really do need investors for this movie.
Mm-hmm. And of course, if you were to donate, what would they take besides PayPal, Visa, MasterCard, American Express, or are you able to just write a check or send a money order in?
You would donate directly to that website. So, and unless things have changed on that, I don't know, but I don't know the specifics there. But if you go there, you should be able to see.
Okay, and once again, that's kindkatie.com, and you've also been across the pond yourself too, and venturing to something where God leads everybody. We'll talk about that. You listen to the Mike Wagner Show at the MikeWagnerShow.com, powered by Sonic Web Studios. Visit online at SonicWebStudios.com for all your needs. Looking for a professional website without breaking your budget? Sonic Web Studios is the answer. Sonic Web Studios offers fast, affordable custom web designs that blow the competition away. Call today at 1-800-303-3960. That's 1-800-303-3960. Or email to support@sonicwebstudios.com. Mention the Mike Wagner Show. Get 10% off your first order. Sonic Web Studios. Take your image to the next level. Also, the Mike Wagner Show can be heard on the MikeWagnerShow.com. You can check our Facebook page at Facebook.com/The Mike Wagner Show. You can download and listen on Facebook, SoundCloud, Spreaker, Spotify, and iHeartRadio. Also on Anchor FM, Radio Public, iTunes, Google Play, Apple, and more. Take the Mike Wagner Show with you on any mobile device. Subscribe to the Mike Wagner Show on the YouTube channel. Also follow the Mike Wagner Show on Instagram and Twitter today. We're here with Tim Miller from Tim Miller Voiceovers, and we talked about his radio career, how he got started in voiceovers, and talking about kindkatie.com, talking about the late Katie Beth Carter, who was called to Nicaragua to fulfill a mission from God. And you also are on a mission recently as well, too, going over the pond. And it's not based on Toto, but you also travel to Africa. And tell us all about that wonderful venture.
Hey, thanks for mentioning that, Mike. I just got back from Africa, and it was in Nairobi, Kenya, and it was a tough trip. I've made other mission trips in the past to Zhytomyr, Ukraine, and we did youth camps for over 10 years, and I spoke there every summer anyway, and that was it. We did some establishment of youth camps. So this was totally different than anything that I've done in Ukraine. Of course, we went to Nairobi, Kenya, and it was an opportunity to go to a lot of the slum areas, and when I say that You see slums in the United States, you see pictures, hear stories and all that, but this is the largest slum in the world, and that was in Kibera. And there's over 1 million people estimated there, Mike, and it's just as bad as you can think, with the sewage running down the street, the kids, there, and it's heart-wrenching. And let me say this, that we are the first group. But there were two groups that came in, one in earlier January. We were in the latter part of January. Well, we found out we were the only group that went beyond the street, and we went down into the slums where people lived in Kibera. And just let me paint a picture here. Kibera being over 1 million people, Mike, it's one of the most dangerous places in the world. For example, if we were just to walk in there off the street, others have. Two things have happened in the past. Missionaries that would go in, they would strip them and then throw them out on the street naked. The second thing that they would do is just not bat an eye, and they would kill them. They would kill the people that would try to go in and minister to the people. Now, what makes us different is that we didn't get injured or hurt or anything. The ex-gang members that were part of the gangs and the killings and all that, a lot of them, and more are coming to Christ. And then at least 2 gang members were with us that were converted, and real good guys. But you look at them, boy, they look mean as anything. But God got a hold of their lives, and now they're not. But they were our bodyguards, as it were, going into the slums. So even before we got there, they went ahead as a team that went ahead and spoke to the people there in the know and said, hey, we've got people coming in, leave them alone and let them do their thing. And so what happened? They did. We went in, we felt very, very safe. Now, I know that, and I don't know how much we can share here on the Mike Wagner Show, but I do love the Lord. And if anything was to happen to me there, that would have been a good place for me to die. And what I say is, oh my goodness. But in other words, if that's where God had me to go, had me to perish, then I would have been completely satisfied with that. I spoke to probably over 10 people a day. And out of those 10 people a day, probably I'd say nine came to Christ. And I led gang members, some tough gang members to Christ. And also there were 7 bikers there that I spoke to at once, and all of them came to Christ. There were, like I said, 2 gang members. There was a Muslim fellow that came to Christ. And then when he did, then four others that were around him came to Christ as well. So I couldn't believe that God was using me in such a way. Let's forget about the voiceovers. Let's forget about the career that I had for 28 and a half years and of course, hopefully help people. Let's just talk about this. If this is all that I was born for, if this is all that I was made for, then it would have been worth it. I spoke to over 50-something people in that time, and most of them came to Christ. And that was when that many people are changed, and that's just me. We had 13 in our group. That's just me speaking and God working through me. But can you imagine those people now are speaking to others?
Wow.
Those are speaking to others. So it's the law of multiplication. So if you think that God can't use you, you're mistaken. If one came to Christ, then it's a law of multiplication after that. I had a great time over there. I'll go back, but I wasn't nervous. But you still looked around you and you watched your back, because at any given time you could have been, kidnapped, or, Americans are perceived as we're super wealthy. And I was too. The way you dress, you bring your backpacks in, you got your water, you got your fancy watches or whatever, but we are labeled as super wealthy. You know that. I mean, and people, you've got to understand that are listening to my voice, and if you're an American, and even if you're on public assistance, and if you have an apartment, you're wealthy. There, the way it is if you picture playing cards that are just stacked up like you did when you was a kid and had a metal roof, that's what they have there. It's of course on a human level, a larger level, but they have bamboo and then the mud making the walls. It dries hard, and it's just, of course, open sewage down in the middle. But it really does reset a person to see people that are living in those conditions, Mike. It really does. It changes a person.
I bet it does. And of course, a question that just came to my mind as well, too, when you went down in deep in that area, how many churches were in that area? And after, witnessing a number of people of Christ, how many churches were in the process of being formed? And were you asked to come back to see how many churches have been formed as well, too? It sounds like you'd make a really good minister.
I don't know, but I would. I don't know. Probably in the United States, I would get antsy, and I'd want to become a missionary. Then I don't know. But speaking of the churches, there was one mosque there in each of the slums we went to. We went to Kabira. We went to Satellite. We went to others that I can't remember. We went to about 5 or 6 different slums in the area, but Kabira was, of course, the most violent and the most populated. But there's no churches in the area. No, and we're not talking Baptist or anything, folks. We're just talking about people that are meeting and studying God's word. They're house churches. And when we say house churches, they go deep into the slum area, and then where they live, about 5 or 6 people get together. And it's not a secret thing. You can openly worship, as far as I know, in Nairobi. But there's no church buildings. You can't afford, a church building, and it's just not structured that way. So that's why people meet in the small areas. Now, something very important I got to say, and that is we had our meetings every morning. But the first morning I said, I'm not going to be too happy. I said, don't take this wrong, but I'm not going to be too happy if we lead people to Christ and then go to another village and then do that without any follow-up. So these people that IMFC is the name of the group that we were with, but these people are tremendous on discipleship. They have a book that says who is Christ, and then everybody that we spoke with gets a copy of that book. We get a way to contact them, and we follow up with them. Then they get into a home church. We're not brainwashing people. If people think, oh yeah, Christianity is brainwashing, it's not that at all. It's by their own free will that they want to learn more about Jesus Christ, and that's what this book that we give them will do. They write their name down, and I'm telling you, when I say they follow up, IMFC, they do that. They follow up. And that's the thing that I said, Mike, that I don't want to be really a part of anything that we just have people come to Christ and leave them alone. That's too much. I'm sorry, but that's too much like the United States.
Right, exactly. Exactly. I know what you mean. I was going to ask about, about Ukraine and the Christian situation out there, too. And that's just amazing what you do in Nairobi as well, too, and leading the people of Christ as well, too. And if you want to talk more about your faith as well, too, you are more than free to do so. I definitely allow you to do that. So if you want to keep talking it, that's fantastic. Love to have you on and talk more about your faith as well, too. So, I mean, you just got a great testimony. I have to say that, too. And going back over to Ukraine, you did a missionary over there. And tell us about your visit in the Ukraine and, how many people are coming to Christ and, fulfilling God's purpose in Ukraine. Sounds like a really interesting situation.
It was, and that lasted it's still going on, but I was over directing finances to make camp happen for at least 1 to 2 weeks. We made camp happen. I was there for at least one of those weeks because I was, employed with the cable company and I only had so much vacation time, but I brought the money with us. Well, we won't say how much, but I brought the money with us. And that was some interesting times, too, going through customs. And they would try to find, and there was a reason by that. I would hide my money. There was those belts that you wear and all that, and I hid my money well. One time, I remember going across in Kiev, and they had me take my shirt off, and I don't know what they were looking for, but I had my money well hidden. I won't say exactly where, but I had it well hidden.
I trust you.
I brought in quite a bit of money. And then you're allowed to bring in so much money. Everybody knows that to a country. But if it's known that you've got the money, then who knows that they don't radio someone on the outside and say that, hey, this guy, this character is carrying, X number of dollars. So you could get mugged that way because it's a very corrupt society in Ukraine, very corrupt. But getting beyond that, we at one time I took my daughter with me. She's an adult now, and my son's an adult now. So I took them over several times, and one time I was able to take both at the same time. But anyway, with my daughter, we brought over 200 Gideon Bibles, and right at the border, they said, yeah, they were going to throw them away. And I said, Kaniga. I said, Niet, Kaniga, book, and for library and all that. And then they finally, I was adamant, we were not going to throw these Bibles away. So finally they got tired of arguing with me, and then they sent us on. So that was 200 of those really neat little Gideon Bibles. A lot of people have seen them. So we're able to smuggle. Did I say smuggle? I'm sorry. Anyway.
No. It's okay. I won't tell you, buddy.
Yeah. You won't tell no one. So we had, the first year I went was in the year 2000. And then I was a participant. And then the church that we were involved with that next year, I asked if we were going again. And he said, yes, but this time you're going to lead it. You're going to head it up. So I said, oh, wow. Yeah. So from then on, for about 10 years, I led mission teams over to Ukraine. Now, again, you say, well, why aren't you doing it now? Well, the opportunity is still going on. Camp is going on. And like I said before about Nairobi, it's the law of multiplication. You get people that are working and doing that, and that's the crowning moment to have people do that, so you don't have to keep coming back. You start churches, you start youth camps, and then now these kids that I went to in the year 2000, now they're the adults and they're heading it up. I don't have to come every year, although I have visited, but you understand that you make it self-sufficient. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. Just like in Nairobi. Now there are people that are coming to Christ, they're being discipled, and now they're going to do the home churches. I can't do the home churches in the slums. I don't live in the slums. They do, and I don't mean that in a bad way. But what I mean, you know what I mean, that they're there and they live in the slums. They minister to the people that are there. But the cool thing is, I've befriended a lot of these people, a lot of the ex-gang members, and some of them do have cell phones. You think they do? I thought they were poor. Well, they have the little burner phones. They're cheap or not if they get near Wi-Fi, and they get on, they do Facebook. But I'm friends with these people now. So that means that I can keep these relationships going. I can encourage them. And not only that, if I go back, and I will go back to Nairobi, and now I can go in without fear. One cool story. Can I tell you one cool story in Nairobi?
Absolutely.
One cool story.
Got plenty of time.
Oh, great. I thought we only had a few minutes here. This is working out better than I thought. There were 3 guys that were in the village in Kibera, and you understand that these are, of course, bad conditions. There was 2 steel doors behind them. And it was in the daytime, and as I was speaking to these guys, they were inquisitive, and one of them asked me some questions, and then the other, and when it got time, and I said, look, I'm not forcing you to pray or anything, and a matter of the fact, we don't push anybody for that. We do ask if they want to come to Christ, and most often they do. And I'll tell you how we do that real quick. But anyway, the one guy was on his cell phone, and these guys were a little bit better dressed than others, and they looked like they would be gang leaders. And after all 3 came to Christ, the one fella had a cell phone there. And as I was speaking, he was doing some things on his phone. He wasn't being rude, I found out. Right at the very end, he put his phone down after he came to Christ. He stopped to pray, but when he came to Christ, he looked at me. He said, you can go anywhere you want in Kibera now. He said, you're safe to go, and winked at me. He pointed at his phone. He said, you're safe to go anywhere in Kibera.
Oh, that's amazing. Wow.
Man, my heart
just a little rinky-dink cell phone. Oh, my goodness.
So he was texting people as we were going along and speaking, that he was texting people to say, leave these guys alone.
Wow. Amazing. Oh, wow.
And then one other crowning event had nothing to do with myself, but the guy that has been he's a board member for IMFC, but he was speaking with some people. Then he got directed by one of these guys that introduced us to people, and some, not all the people were gang members that were leading us around, but a good number of them were. But this other fellow, he introduced the guy that I was over with to this young lady, and she was blind. Mm-hmm. And just real quick, it's on your hand that we minister to these people on the hand. It's called the 5-finger gospel. The little finger of the pinky is us. The one right beside it is sin. And the one in the middle, that's God. And they call him the boss. Mm-hmm. And the one, your index finger is Jesus. And your thumb, we'll talk about that. But when we bend the first finger over, the index finger over, that Christ died. And then the other finger, right by your pinky, we bend that down, saying he took care of sin. Now your pinky, and then your big finger in the middle, it leaves that open. So now you have fellowship with God. So that's how we describe, about salvation, that Christ died, he took care of the sin. Now you have an open fellowship possible with God if you accept that. So anyway, the reason I mention that is he spoke to this blind lady and held her hand and pointed to the fingers, and she could listen, and she came to Christ, Mike, because of a simple gospel presented on the hand.
Wow. That's amazing. I even demonstrate as well, too. And I think this makes a lot of sense. I have to say that. Hopefully you can see it on the camera. That is amazing. And I can do it with the other hand, too.
Yes, it is. And the thumb means they point that up saying everything is okay. And there are scriptures that go with each, Romans 3:23 and Romans 6:23 and all that. But for all have sinned, and for the wages of sin is death and all that. But we're real gentle, Mike, when we present the gospel. We don't condemn anyone. It's a matter of the fact. If the people that said we're not ready, we said, fully understand. We would give them a book anyway, if they would take it, and then they would study, and then they would contact us when they're ready. Nobody, I don't care who you are. I don't care if you're in America, if you're in England, if you're in Nairobi, if you're in Ukraine. Nobody wants to be pushed into becoming a Christian. You can't do it because the Holy Spirit is the one that guides us. You have to have that calling of the Holy Spirit. And this is what it's all about. And I don't want to be pushed into anything. If a salesman tries to sell me something, I'm not doing it, not unless I want to. Same with Mike Wagner.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. You're right. We don't make people listen to the show. It's like people want to listen to programs. People want to listen to your show and everything. That's a free will as well, too. And you think about with Jesus as well, too. During his time, he didn't put a gun to anyone's head and say, come to Christ. It's like, gentle open arms and say, follow me. And he utters his words. If people choose, that's great. If people don't, that's fine. He just presents it and let things happen.
That's right. And then I know we're going all around the world here, and I really humbly thank you for letting me speak about Nairobi, about Ukraine, and that's just one facet of my life, and that is
Okay. Well, Tim, are you still with us? Tim, are you still with us?
And I'm a regular guy, Mike. That's all I am. Mm-hmm. God doesn't look at, he doesn't look at your ability. He looks at your availability. And if you're available, I think he's going to use you. I'm no one special. Oh, my word. I'm just me. And I just ran into a couple opportunities in my life. And if I could speak about the voiceover thing real quick.
Absolutely. Have at it.
Is that my buddy here that is a fellow voiceover guy, Mike Tarnow, and I'll give his address, MikeTarnow.com. He's a great voice talent, and I feel like I'm not a bad voice talent, but Mike and I, we encourage one another because we are not getting some of the big ticket, and I know you built me up on the show, and I appreciate that, but I've done work, I'm looking at it, I've done work for Cracker Barrel, Honey Baked Ham, Macy's, Pepsi, KFC, Comcast, Ace Hardware, blah, blah, blah. I've done commercials for iTunes, and I've got my second book, and I've got a book on Amazon, and it's case file number 1948. I love it. I put it's like Dragnet in the background. So if you have an opportunity to get to Amazon or iTunes, look at case file number 1948. It's a number sign, almost like the hashtag there that you would use. But anyway, case file number 1948. And it's got all the cool background sounds from the cars, from everything, So it's fun. It's a fun book. But I just...
Okay. All right. Okay. Tim, are you still with us here? Tim? I think we're breaking up here. Tim, are you still with us? Okay.
Oh, yeah, I am. Yeah, absolutely. So that's the same thing with my work at tmvo.studio or timmillervoiceovers.com. I don't push people. And I know I just said a plosive there, didn't I? Anyway,
it's all part of the business. It's okay. I'm not going to condemn you for it. Don't worry about it. It's like regular conversation. Don't even worry about it.
My guard moved. Anyway, I don't care how nice of a mic you have. The Sennheiser's a good mic, but if you speak right into it, it'll have a plosive. But on my work, as far as voiceovers go, do I want these national accounts? Do I want to be, successful in it? Yes, I do, because you know what? There is no plan B. Voiceovers is what I'm doing now. The job that I had for 28 and a half years, that's done. I can no longer do a physical job like that. Mm-hmm. And that's the way things happen. No one asked to get hit by an 18-wheeler, right?
Right, so, exactly.
So this has to work. And so tmvo.studio has to work. So and the radio station that I have has to work. And if somebody wanted to do a national thing with myself and Mike Tarr now, you're welcome to it. We are so open to that. Mike's retired. I'm retired. So we're asking God for big things. But I will say this, that any big thing that God does for me via voiceover, and I've already donated some stuff to people to start them out, but it would definitely go to missions, even in Nairobi or Ukraine. There's plenty of things that the money could be used for. And so that's exactly what I've done and will do. You know what? If nobody gets anything out of this podcast, if you wait until A, B, or C or whatever falls into place before you do something, it'll never get done. People say that they'll tithe if they have a lot of money. Mm-hmm. But you need to start doing something now, like the widow's mite. And I'm not this holier than thou guy, but I do know this, that if you wait until all these things line up, the planets line up, you'll go to your grave and nothing will happen, Mike. Nothing.
Exactly. That's right, too. And of course, speaking about plans and whatever else God has for everybody. And what is the next mission trip where you're going to be at? Besides Nairobi and Ukraine, it's like, where's the next mission going to be at?
Well, I want to go back to Ukraine, and I'm going to tell you why. There's some things in Ukraine that can be done. For example, I've had the vision of having our own church building for a youth camp. Right now, when they do youth camp, they have to rent tents, a huge tent for everyone to meet in, and the little tents for them to sleep in. Mm-hmm. And then they bring all the food in for the week, and they have to bus the kids in, and we don't charge the kids anything. A lot of them come with their clothes in paper bags and plastic bags, and I guess one thing that just really blew my mind going over there, the young ladies, they're precious, they're cute, and they want to look stylish and all that, but they only bring so many clothes with them. So I inquired with one of the leaders there, and I said, how do they dress differently all the time, but they only brought a little paper bag full of clothes? And they said they trade clothes.
Really? Wow.
So they switch clothes out. So that's how they switch and, look pretty and have a different outfit on. So I thought, man, and of course that brings a tear to your eye thinking about
wow.
that.
I have never heard of that. Trading clothes. That's got to be something done in the United States.
So yeah, that doesn't happen here. So that's my next big thing. If and when that this gets on a larger scale, tmvo.studio, timmillervoiceovers.com. If it gets on a real large scale, and then I can minister back to the people in Zhytomyr, Ukraine. And there are top-notch people there that I know that their credibility is there. They take care of the money that we give them. They disperse it where it's needed for the youth camps. So they're part of an organization. And then they really care about each dollar that comes in. But we need a facility there in Zhytomyr, Ukraine. And if God would use me to funnel that, then Mike, I would be happy to do that. So that would be my next big thing. And the next year, about this time, it looks like we're going back to Nairobi. And then there was another another place in Africa that they go. Slips my mind. They'll be there this summer. From our church as a team going there. Uganda. They're going to Uganda.
Wow.
And but this was our first time to go into Nairobi, and it's a dangerous place, man. But I just want to say, at no given time, did I feel threatened or did I feel like my life was going to be taken from me. We had plenty of ex-mean dudes with me, with us. And then, of course, God protects us. He won't lead you and guide you where He doesn't want you. So it was tough. But my next big thing would be going back to Zhytomyr, Ukraine, and then maybe to build a facility there so we would have a place to go to camp, and we wouldn't have to move around.
That would be fantastic. And Tim, you've been fantastic. Love to have you back on, and tell us more about your experiences with Ukraine and Nairobi, other projects, and your other missions as well, too. And just a couple more things here. Who do you consider biggest influence in your career?
I would think my dad, and a lot of people would say, God is in Jesus Christ, and obviously he is, because he changed my life. But my dad, and let me say, my dad's gone now, but two big things about Dad. Dad felt so bad because he went bankrupt 3 times, and he cried, and he told his boys that 3 boys and a sister, and my sister's in heaven, Mom and Dad's in heaven now, but he told us that he felt like a failure. And I said, Dad, don't take this in a bad way, but you taught us things financially, even doing that, going bankrupt, to help us. And none of us children have gone bankrupt, and we're able to help others even. But our houses are paid for, and I really don't need to mention that, but I'm just saying that we went the other way. Instead of us going bankrupt and following that same pattern, that Dad helped us. So I think Dad was an influence. And just before he died, and I'll get through this, but just before he died, the studio that you see me in here, my brother and I built. My brother's a carpenter. I keep cutting wood. It's still short, but David is a good carpenter. So he helped me, and I helped him, build this. But my dad paid for this just before he died, my studio.
Wow, that is a blessing. I have to say that you got a fantastic studio. I got to say that.
Oh, I love it. It's a box we built. It's solid. It's made with sheetrock, the whole thing. It's almost like a whisper room, but we built it from the ground up. But my dad was probably, I would say, the besides Jesus Christ, but Dad was the biggest influence in my life. And in throwing this in, would people say that I had a bad childhood, this, then I'm going to end up that way. No, you're not. And you don't have to end up that way. You can turn things around. Well, my dad was this way. My mom was this way. So no, you don't have to live that way. And I'm living proof of that. All my brothers and sisters,
Mm-hmm. And I think that's fantastic as well, too. I mean, you're just living the dream right there where God has you at. That's amazing. And what's the best advice you can give to anybody at this point?
For voiceovers?
Yes, or just whatever you like.
Life in general? Okay, life in general. There's a Bible verse, Psalms 46:10, and it says, "Be still and know that I am God." And what that means is just take the time and reflect. Don't make any knee-jerk decisions in life, whether it be in your personal life, whether it be in your voiceover life. You want to hurry up and get things done. You got to put the time in, and I'm still putting my time in. I'm still paying my dues. But also as far as your relationship with God, even if you become a Christian now, that doesn't mean that you need to be the head of this big organization in a week. You need to take your time. Psalms 46:10, "Be still and know that I am God." Take the time to cultivate. Take the time to rest. Take the time to learn before you take on something huge, So that would be, I guess, my biggest advice for anyone right now. Just be still and know that I am God. Psalms 46:10.
That is fantastic. And Tim, just want to say a big thank you for your time. Once again, Tim Miller of TimMillerVoiceovers.com. And you can also look up our website. Once again, just tell us about your upcoming projects. What's your website? How do people contact you? And how can people support the missions? And where do they go?
Thanks. My email address is timmillervoiceovers@outlook.com. And then my website, timmillervoiceovers.com, and I've shortened that down to tmvo.studio. So you'll get to the same website. And so that's some great things are going on. I'm getting into my second audiobook with this author. So we've completed the first one, and we didn't even talk about the first audiobook. That I'll save that for another. That is a wild ride. The first audiobook. I'll share that later. Some things that I've learned and about contract and different things like that. Not getting burned in the voiceover business. But yeah, this has been a super event. That I call this an event, Mike Wagner, you having me on your show. I'm just in awe of what you do, the people that you've interviewed in the past, and that how God has used your work to help others.
That is fantastic, and God bless you as well, Tim. Thank you very much for your time. You've been fantastic. Definitely have you on again before 2020, and do us a favor, keep us up to date. Looking forward to having you again soon.
Thank you, Mike Wagner. Appreciate it, man. God bless you all.
Thanks for listening to the Mike Wagner Show, powered by Sonic Web Studios. Visit online at sonicwebstudios.com for all your needs. The Mike Wagner Show can be heard on Spreaker, Spotify, iHeartRadio, iTunes, YouTube, Anchor FM, Radio Public, and themikewagnershow.com. Please support our program with your donations at themikewagnershow.com. Join us again next time for another great episode of The Mike Wagner Show.